to the Teeing Off podcast. I'm John Borneman here with Matt Harness, as always. We're at Full Shilling in Wrigleyville, where I'm pretty sure they're only open because we're actually still here. We just asked them to turn down the music in the bar, and there's no one else here to complain. So
yeah, non-Cubs days, this could be the spot for the podcast. Who knows?
Who knows? It's a new season for golf and a new season for the podcast. It's actually, officially underway. Now we're getting some good weather in the Chicagoland area, and we just got out to the golf course for the first time, the two of us.
I even said this morning that perfect weather. We couldn't have kind of scripted it any better. I mean, even today was nice, but it wasn't nearly as nice as yesterday. We both played pretty well.
Right.
I mean,
it was familiar territory going out to Homewood, Flossmoor, or not Homewood, Flossmoor is a high school, of course, but Homewood for a round at Ravislow Country Club, beautiful Ravislow, which is...
It took us a little while to get there as you gave us the detour around beautiful downtown Homewood.
Homewood, I mean,
it's nice.
I didn't give it enough credit. I was kind of trashing a little bit as we drove through the outer edges, but when we got down to the downtown, I mean, there's...
You were mostly concerned about the lack of visible signage.
Right, and the strange stop, the two-way stop that should be a three-way stop, which is basically just a murder pit. Someone's going to get killed in an automobile accident down there. But
yeah, it's surprising that there's not been a reality TV show based around video camera.
But yeah, Ravislow's long been front of the podcast. That's just kind of cozying it up in your warm, familiar bed. I mean, you can't really shoot too bad out there. Just minimal
you can't
water.
Get a bad night's sleep.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's safe.
And I will say, I remember, I think last year we played early and it wasn't in great shape. It was like early season shape. I thought it was in really good shape. I mean, really the greens rolled really well.
For the time of year and for kind of how unpredictable the weather's been, I thought it was in
I think it's only been open for a few weeks.
Yeah. So no, I mean they haven't been able to grow the rough at all. That's pretty short.
Which is perfect.
I was not in the fairway at all.
I wish some of those trees hadn't grown so tall.
Well, they're going to be worse when they have actual leaves. And I will, full disclosure, Matt shot a 77, which is, it was his first round of the year. I had played previously, and I still shot 78 and lost.
Birdied the first hole?
Birdied the first hole of the year, and still went on to shoot a decent round, which is remarkable considering what I tell you every time is you do not want to birdie the first hole. That is,
and I usually don't.
Well, I mean, you're right. Statistically, I'm still birdieless on the year. I've played now 9 holes in Vegas, which I don't really count because it was moderate sobriety, and 36 holes sober in Illinois, no birdies.
That's surprising. You're usually a birdie machine, birdie
and bogey machine.
The B machine board.
Well, it's actually funny because I shot 78, Matt shot 77. I don't know if you would agree with this, but I saw a tweet today from ESPN golf writer Jason Sobel. He's talking about Matt Every, who shot, I think, 5 under at the RBC Heritage. Called his round greasy.
Yeah, I've heard that.
I've never heard that term before, but that perfectly describes my round. I am the greasiest golfer alive, perhaps.
Should be sponsored by Jiffy Lube.
What hole is it out there, Ravislow, that I had to just toss a ball down because I lost it? I'm deep in the trees.
That's the end of the Hawks Hollow.
Right, the famous Hawks
16.
Hollow. Yeah, it's just the second most famous string of 3 holes after Amen Corner at the Masters.
You've already vaulted above the bear.
Well, yeah, I mean,
trap.
It's most famous to me. But yeah, so I'm in the trees hitting 3 and just punch a shot up to the green, chip in for par. That is a greasy. Greasy par.
You had another greasy par earlier in the round.
That's right. That short, the 315-yard par 4 that I laid up smartly with a 4-iron to the middle of the trees, punched it left short of the bunker, chipped it 10 feet away, and somehow rolled in a putt.
I will say that chip was great. The hole sits on a little sort of knob.
Right. But, so I'm comfortable anymore nowadays. That's my game. It's not fairways and greens. It's trees and
grease.
Trees and grease.
But yeah, no, it's good to be back on the podcast.
A lot of changes.
Done it. Well, yeah. I mean, the last time.
I don't think we've ever recorded at the Full Shilling. Maybe we'll keep it going.
Yeah, we were now with the Chicago Tribune.
We've been sold. I don't know if anyone out there listening has ever been sold, but we were. We used to work for Sun Times Media.
Yeah, now Chicago Tribune Media. We're teammates now with Teddy Greenstein.
We'll probably have to have Teddy on at some point.
Yeah, he's a fellow member of the Riders' Cup team, which is the defending champs. We'll be talking about that later in the summer.
Sure. Well, against Wisconsin, yes, Wisconsin.
But why don't we talk? Biggest week of the year, in my opinion, for golf. Masters, long layoff, not a whole lot of big tournaments. Where did you find yourself Sunday on the back nine?
Well, I consider, Jim Nantz aside, I consider Masters Sunday one of the best days of the year. I mean, it's.
I think I like Thursday better just because it kicks it off. But
Thursday does feel like the official start of something, and even this year when you have Jordan Spieth winning at 18 under and never really getting that close. It was 3 strokes a couple times with Justin Rose chasing him.
Right.
That's about as close as it got. Even when there was no real high drama, I'm still planted in front of the TV the whole time. And I actually had a family dinner for my girlfriend. It was her birthday. Tell you how much she likes golf. Before our round on Wednesday, she was helping me clean my clubs, and she asked me why some of them had hats. And
well, didn't she also?
Well, I had to explain to her that those are club head covers and they aren't hats. And she also asked me how many days the Masters was because I told her that I couldn't do something in the summer because I was covering a golf tournament, the Encompass Championship. She wanted to do something that weekend, and I said, "No, I'm sorry, I'm covering a golf tournament." And she said, "Oh, I thought the Masters was this weekend." I said, "It is." And she said, "Is it every weekend?" No, one weekend.
It darn well should be.
And if it was, that would be fantastic. But no, so that just sort of informs her level of golf knowledge. But I told her, I will absolutely come to family dinner, but we are watching the first shot of CBS's coverage to the final shot of CBS's coverage. As long as that will be on, that's fine. And it turns out that...
The sound on?
Oh, the sound's on. We had multiple TVs going. It turns out that her brother and her stepfather both at least decently sized golf fans, so it wasn't really too much arm twisting. But yeah, I was planted firmly in that chair.
So were you happy with how it turned out? There was little drama on the final day, but it was still, to me, fun to watch kind of history being made.
I felt really conflicted because I do sincerely like Jordan Spieth. I like watching Jordan Spieth. He's an exciting young talent. I just, I wanted him to win, but I wanted him to win by like 1.
What sort of scenario were you dreaming of?
Well, I think I told you. I kind of predicted it. I think I was pretty on. I think he won the tournament with his par save on 18 on Saturday.
Okay.
When he was up in the gallery, up to the right of the green, up on a hill, looked like a pretty tough up and down. He had just come off the double bogey on 17, and he makes par there.
And that's also something that you can relate. It's relatable to you.
It was a greasy par, very very slick. And so then he maintains a 4-stroke lead and doesn't finish double bogey going into Sunday, which I would have to imagine would have been a tough thing to sleep on. So I said, as I thought he might make an early bogey, which I think he did. At least I think he had a couple bogeys on the front 9, and maybe I'm halfway counting the par on 2, but I thought that overall I thought it was his time. I thought he had missed out last year losing to Bubba. When Bubba, as you said, Jordan played bad. Bubba played very well on that course. It just took it from him.
It's almost it's sort of a role reversal where someone was going to have to maybe take it away from him on the back 9 because he was just playing too well to give it up. I didn't necessarily see. I will say, watching him on 13, you got to give him a lot of credit for going for that green in 2.
Yeah.
And he's, imploring his ball to go hard, which it's kind of fun to see it, side of a player, like that, he clearly thought it was a risky shot.
Right.
I don't know if he was up 3 or 4 at that time, but very easily you hit in that creek. You could.
As they say, that hole always decides the tournament and has a major role in deciding it one way or the other. I mean, you easily could face a couple penalty strokes, and he had been playing kind of conservatively to start the day, didn't he? Didn't he hit 3-wood off the first couple tees?
So yeah, I mean that's I think I may have texted you the first hole it's a 3-wood. I mean it's 460 yards uphill, and
right.
There's a bunker on the right that most players want to carry, but he decides at 3-wood he can't carry it, but he hits it in the middle of the fairway. And then on number 2,
I think he did make birdie on 1, by the way.
He did make birdie on 1, so I mean it's hard to question his game plan, which he stuck to. But on 2, he hits a 3-wood off the tee, which is a downhill par 5. But I think what a lot of people were talking about, he had a plan and he stuck to it, and he's very confident in his abilities. I've listened to talk radio ad nauseum in my car. It's PGA Tour radio. It's the only thing I listen to, and everybody's saying his win is good for the game. A 21-year-old looks like a likable guy.
Yeah.
Great with the fans. When the Tiger Woods era, I mean, just probably arguably the best player ever. He's coming to a close. Rory McIlroy, in all his greatness, 4 majors, he's still an Ulsterman.
Right.
We're looking for the next American player. And
Jordan
Spieth
I mean,
might
yeah,
get it.
absolutely. I think, there's no bad side of this, for golf. Certainly, I think they were probably in the tour offices were jumping for
Oh my
because
God,
this is perfect for them.
Especially because I don't know when these TV contracts come up, but it's star power. I mean, they don't sell these rights because people like golf. They sell it because people want to watch a star play, and they've been kind of looking for that next star after Tiger Woods, and Jordan Spieth seems to be ready. And as I've been, I get Is it bragging? I saw this guy when he was a youngster.
And you called the win. I mean, Matt. I don't know if anybody caught it, but Matt appeared on the Chalks and Dogs podcast, which we should plug. Because they plugged Matt so well when he was on the show. Follow them on Twitter at Chalks and Dogs. That's DAWGS. That's at Chalks and Dogs. But you appeared on there. And you called Jordan with the win. Yeah,
and
you called him even earlier before that too. You had him before his win before the Masters.
I took him last year when he was a 30-1, and a little upset that
he broke your heart.
He did kind of.
How long did it take for you to start cheering for him again? You were down on him. I think you were just hurt.
Most of the year.
It seemed like you were hurt.
Most of the year.
Jilted, perhaps.
And then I stuck with him. I took him again, our friend Aaron Hunter.
Who was supposed to be on the podcast today, but apparently
he has better things to do.
Yeah. Well, we were supposed to record it yesterday, and he couldn't do it then. I don't think we asked him to do it today. So.
But he was kind enough to place a wager in Vegas for me to take Spieth, and that came through. I mailed my ticket in yesterday. So.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they send you the money back. But just before we move on, I did want to note that you also predicted that Fred Couples would contend for 2 days, and Freddie shot 79-74 and missed the cut. You called Bubba the favorite. He was T38. And you said Tiger wouldn't make the top 20, which he did.
I did say he would make the cut, though.
Yeah, well, so you got that.
My long shots were.
So there were some misses.
Sure.
But yeah, you did have Jordan, which I suppose is an accomplishment.
So what you're saying is I was 0 for 4, but I hit the grand slam to win the game.
Right. Well, okay.
Or I made the.
There you go.
However you want to look at it.
And Spieth, by the way, I think it was the last. Is it 10 starts? You go through those. The first at the Masters. Second, first, 17th, 4th, 7th cut. Don't know what he was doing that week. 7th, first. That's pretty. I think he's probably arrived. So.
Yeah, at this point he's playing this week.
He shot 74 today. I guarantee you he probably can't tell you what he shot today. He cannot possibly care about that.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. But to his credit, they said he was out signing autographs and kind of being the ambassador of the game that people want him to be.
And as you mentioned, we both saw him at Media Day for the John Deere Classic, which he was the defending champion last year.
Bobbleheads of Jordan Spieth.
Yes, I have my Jordan Spieth bobblehead is sitting on my desk at home right now. And
I look to it often for inspiration.
And you followed him at the BMW Championship when it was in Lake Forest, and you knew him way back when. I was joking with you before we started recording here that you were like the golf hipster who. You knew Jordan Spieth. You liked him before he was cool.
Yeah, it was the band that I saw. I was the only one to see, the Rolling Stones.
A little of the shine is off it now that everyone loves Jordan Spieth.
Yeah. No, but yeah, he was back at the Western Am at North Shore in 2011.
2011, okay.
And I think you said you might have looked up. I think he was a Sweet 16. He was the number one player. Amateur in the world, or very close. But yeah, I mean, you certainly could tell that he had the game to win. I mean, the Western Am, which is back here in town this year, is somewhat of a predictor of future success. I mean, Tiger Woods played there, Phil Mickelson played there. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jordan Spieth played there. I don't know. I wonder if Bubba Watson ever played in the Western Am. I don't know if he did.
I don't know either.
It's an invitation only. One of the green coats may have been
not invited, the most unlikable player in golf.
Which is, I think I told you that I told somebody that there was an anonymous poll.
No, yeah, I think we talked about this.
Yeah, that
What was the question? Was phrased weird. It was like, who would you be least likely to help if they needed it in the parking lot or something like that?
Yeah, something like who's the player you would be least likely to help if they got into a fight?
Right.
And which is a strange question to ask.
First of all, you're asking a bunch of golfers. They're probably not helping anyone in a fight.
There's a few that I would probably want on my side. I think maybe J.B. Holmes.
I'd take Gary Woodland.
He's a big guy, yeah. But I think J.B. Holmes knows how to.
He's probably a street fighter. He'd ugly it up a little bit, I think.
But yeah, so the resounding answer among tour pros was Bubba Watson, and I think it was a Golf Channel guy, actually asked Bubba about that. He didn't know, and he was hurt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine you would, but he did his normal thing, I think, where he pledges to get better, and he needs.
Every time he does something dumb, he says, I'm just trying to be a better man.
Yeah.
Which is admirable if you stop doing dumb stuff.
Right.
And
let's just say anytime you finish behind Tiger Woods on a pole like that, it's probably a bad thing.
I will say I did see him, and they mentioned it on the broadcast. I don't know if you saw. I forget. So would have been Friday. Ben Crenshaw playing his final Masters. I think after 44.
Oh, he didn't make the cut?
He did not. He needed to go hole in one. I think.
Yeah, he fired a 91.85, so just missed it.
But Bubba Watson was one of the few active players that was on the 18th green. Mm-hmm. Sort of wishing him the best. So I think Bubba, I think he does try. It might slip his mind when he's in the heat of the moment.
He does. He does a lot of redeeming things, and then he'll do something like yell at his caddy when he hits a bad shot,
right?
Or that. What tournament was it where he? Refused to do the long drive because he was there to work.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't remember what tournament it was, but all the pros coming through doing the long drive.
I want to say it was the PGA.
That's what I was going to say. And he hit iron off the tee, didn't participate because he was there to work.
Yeah.
During the practice round. That's just it's sort of tone deaf stuff.
It is, and it's almost you would just sort of chalk it up. That's Bubba being Bubba.
Yeah.
Kind of, but
then he'll go and eat at Waffle House, which is certainly a sign of good character. So
yeah, I mean, I put everybody that's eating at Waffle House to be of the utmost character.
So,
especially if you get your hash browns scattered and smothering cover.
Yeah, well, right. There you go. Yeah. So, I'm not sure. I think we've pretty much got the Masters covered. It's going to be a big summer for golf here in the Chicagoland area. We're hoping, to do some interesting, some fun stuff with it at the Chicago Tribune Media Group. You're never going to have a summer with more national golf fans focused on Chicago than I don't think this summer, will you?
Well, I mean, the Ryder Cup was here,
right? But that's one event.
In terms of,
I mean, if you look at the entire portfolio this summer, I mean, you've got
it's very good.
You've got started off with the first big thing is, it's sort of ease into it, is the Western Junior in mid-June.
Where's that?
That is at Riverside, Illinois.
That's where the esteemed Vince Pellegrino,
Well, there
I
you
think,
go.
grew up caddying.
Western Golf Association, yeah. And not quite the Chicagoland area.
A friend of the podcast.
Oh, he's been on the podcast before, and it's back in its Sun Times days.
I don't know. Do we have access to those archives?
You know what? It may be lost in internet lore. I mean,
Wow.
things don't get lost on the internet unless you.
So, folks, this is what I'm going to tell you.
Right.
Listen to this
Right.
now, because we don't know what might happen.
Yeah, possibly download it and save it, because you can't get anything off the internet unless you used to work for Sun Times Media, and then that is gone. So. If you stretch the Chicagoland area definition out a little bit, go out to Silvis for the PGA tournament in July, the John Deere Classic, which, who knows, maybe Jordan Spieth plays there. I don't know. He played last year.
I told you I think he plays.
My guess also would be that he plays. He's seems like a pretty honorable guy. He's still playing this week,
Right.
which he would be well within his rights to say later with it.
It's a big issue, and I don't know if it, forgive me, listeners, you can look it up online, but the John Deere usually is on the schedule right before the British Open, which is why it's hard
Right.
to get big names,
Right.
because they want to go, they don't want to risk that jet lag before. But the John Deere does such a great job of, they have private jets to fly these players overseas. So I do hope, I do think that Spieth will play. This might be his last year.
I would have
playing.
to say, if he gives them, as I said, if he gives them 1 year of having the defending Masters champion, I think they would have to be forever indebted to him.
And this will be
it is again, as you said, it is right before the Open Championship at St. Andrews. So
it is hard
they
to get.
They do make it as easy as possible for players to go over there. But for a guy who just won a major and probably has designs on winning several more, who knows how he's going to want to prepare.
I hope he plays, because we're going to try and get out there at least for a round,
Right.
And mostly because the defending champion is none other than Brian Harmon of the University of Georgia.
Right. Yes. Whenever there's a Georgia golfer.
Six former Georgia Bulldogs were at the Masters.
Nice.
Can any other college lay that claim?
No, I don't.
Actually, I don't know. I didn't look it up, but that's a lot.
I didn't know, but I don't know.
I mean, that's a lot of.
And you could almost count.
And I played at the University of Georgia, not on the team.
Right. Yeah.
But
While you
while
were
I was
there.
there,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
played.
But same week. Is it same week as the John Deere Classic? We'll be having the Champions Tour here.
That's
the
what.
Encompass
That's right. That's why
Championship.
we're gonna have
So
to
it's
maybe
going to be a
split
little
up.
bit interesting how we handle that. But again, that tournament has been. It's always had good finishes.
Yeah.
2 years with Stadler and Lehman, both times winning it on the 54th hole. They play 3 rounds. On 18 at North Shore Country Club, and they'll be out there again, where I'm sure Dan Dinelli will have it in gorgeous shape, as he always does. Which has, Craig Saylor compared it to Augusta National. So
Yeah.
he'll have it great as always. More tournaments: Western Amateur in Sugar Grove. Again, not Chicagoland area, but PGA Championship's going to be just in Wisconsin, so within
Where
driving
we
range.
were this past summer for the Ryder Cup.
Right.
We were part of that Kohler group of golf
Right,
courses.
and
We
that
were
group at Black Wolf Run.
Black Wolf Run. Yeah, I've never been up to Whistling Straits by the lake, but that was the last time I was there with the Dustin Johnson snafu and what they called the
10,000 bunkers they have there, and he.
Which I hope they've changed that and made that a local. I mean, the gallery was stomping in that. That I don't blame Dustin Johnson. I think he got hosed.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
On that, you can't ask hundreds or if not thousands of people to move off the sand and then tell the player, oh, by the way, that's a hazard. When was the last time we were at Ravenslow and we saw a couple of guys bathing in the bunker?
Well, I mean, you're on the south side, but it could happen. I'm just saying. But no, absolutely.
They fix
That's not something that's going to endear the game of golf to the casual fan. Can't really understand why you would make up such a penal rule.
Were we watching the Masters, the first round where Tiger Woods hit a tent. There was something I was watching, and he had to take a drop, and they bring over a rules official, and he finds his relief,
right.
Puts his tee in the ground, drops the driver, drops his ball. It goes a fraction of an inch, close to the hole. Make him do it again. These are the kind of things that I would like golf to say.
Right.
Relax some of these rules.
Well,
it's obviously no advantage,
right.
For anybody to be a fraction of an inch closer to the hole on a drop.
Well, I will say though, this is not necessarily in support of the rules of golf, but the Masters this year did include one of my favorite shots I've seen of all time, which is Dustin Johnson being above the hole. I don't remember what hole it was. He's on the green above the hole, marks his ball. This is on Sunday. Probably 30, 40 feet above the hole. Sets it down, pulls his mark, walks around to the other side of the hole to watch the ball, and the green is so slick and slanted that it rolls down to 8 feet. And he then proceeds to roll in a birdie putt. And it counts. He had marked his ball. He had left his ball. He was nowhere near it. He clearly did not
Really?
touch it at all. And I had never seen this before.
So do you think he walked around it because he knew it was going to start rolling?
Well, yeah, I think when he put it down, he put like a little forward rotation on it, and he walked away from it. No, but clearly he stopped it, and it's just those greens are so fast and so slick that it rolled down with it, and he's like sitting there like coaxing on the crowd as the ball's rolling down the hill, and then he rolls in the putt. So that's
smart move.
That I really like. That's probably one of my favorite shots of all time.
It's not quite. That's one of your favorite shots of all time. It's not the Gene Sarazen double eagle at the.
That would be a greasy birdie.
it's placing a ball on a hill and just watching.
Well, I didn't see the Sarazen shot, but I imagine they'll probably have to put a bridge and name it after Dustin Johnson now. So.
The Dustin Johnson non-putt putt.
Right.
It's not. Yeah. Well, I did not know that. It's very interesting.
You have to look up video of it. And then going back to the schedule here real quick. August, the U.S. Amateur Olympia Fields.
We talked about
which will be big.
Excited about playing there. I saw my first year here was when the U.S. Open. Our a podcast favorite Jim Furyk won the U.S. Open. It didn't do much for golf when he won that.
No. No one was super excited about the anointing Jim Furyk.
Didn't really move the needle there, but great golf course, and hopefully we'll get a chance to play.
Yeah.
From the good friends at Kemper Lesnick.
Right. That's right.
Media Day should be sometime this summer, but there's just so much.
Well, and we haven't even gotten to the premier event, which is September, the BMW Championship.
Yeah,
and up in Lake Forest again. First time since. Zach Johnson?
Yeah, 2 years
Johnson
ago.
Won it 2 years ago. Yeah, right.
He was in Denver last year, back here, and I want to say this is the last year of Conway, but they could re-up it.
Right. It's the last year that it's for sure at Conway.
And Conway's done some significant changes.
Overhauls to their practice facility.
We will see.
Yeah, right.
Sometime this summer.
And then I know they're tinkering with some greens. I actually just saw them. They've really, I think, just ramped up things with the start of spring in the last couple of days here, because I started to see that Twitter account become more and more active, and they're working on some greens around there. So certainly we'll have more in-depth information about that once we get out there and see the course.
Back in that first year of the BMW Championship, you walked with Tom Fazio.
Right,
the architect. I walked with Jordan Spieth. I wonder who got the better deal of that.
Well, you probably walked with the better golfer, but,
Spieth just hasn't started designing golf courses.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's got a high golf design ceiling. I mean, it seems like every high-level pro dabbles in course design at some point.
Yeah, he could slap his name on Robert Black, and that's all of a sudden the #1 golf course in Illinois. Would you disagree?
If Jordan Spieth did it?
If it was instead of the Robert A. Black, if it was
the Jordan A. Spieth?
I don't know.
It has to have a middle initial.
Let's look it up. What's his middle initial?
I don't know what Jordan Spieth.
Well,
but no, I think even just if he puts his name on it, I think he's still going to have to make some major changes.
Which we've played there.
Right.
Which will be your first change?
Make there be a golf aptitude test in order to.
So it's the people that
It's the
play.
personnel.
It's the person.
Is it A?
How about this? It's Jordan Alexander Spieth.
Jordan A. Spieth. Why did you even look it up? I know my golf.
That's incredible. I'm not even sure it's the Robert A. Black golf course, but
Well, I'm pretty sure it is.
but yeah, I mean that's it's a nice. The BMW Championship is a terrific way to sort of bookend the Premier Golf in the Chicagoland this year. Other than if we get to play a few more times and. Some of those battles are pretty good until the end. I think my last round was in October at Cog Hill with that scramble.
That's right. That terrible course at Cog Hill.
Yeah, that was too bad. Although we did win some.
We did. Yeah.
Some change.
We have some luck. I mean, you have some luck in that tournament.
It is the Robert A.
Right.
Black.
I know.
It's perfect.
It is perfect.
The Jordan A.
Well, why don't
Spieth
you write an email to his
golf course? I'm calling his
to
agent.
his agent. Call his agent. I'm sure that's the kind of thing he's looking to invest some of that Masters. What was it? $1.8 million. $1.8 million could buy 5 Robert A. Blacks.
He doesn't have to buy them. He just has to put.
What do you think naming rights on a course like that cost?
In Chicago, probably $1.8 million.
Not worth it. You could buy Sidney Moravitz for that.
Is Sydney's middle name A?
I don't think he has a middle initial. At any rate, it's probably about it for our first podcast of the year.
I would say that was a 76.
76?
The equivalent of shooting 76.
Yeah. And
a couple of birdies in there.
Minimal grease. I mean, I think we just...
A few bogees. There was some greasy
It got
segments.
greasy at the end, perhaps. But for a first effort, I think it's pretty good. Shaking off the rust. The short game, like your chipping, is going to probably, in this case, I think the short game is transitions, and I think it'll get better. But overall, I mean, in the meantime, as I said, I really mean it. Committed to covering golf this summer. I don't think you'll have a lot of golf coverage options this summer because of the attention that's going to be on the area. But I can say that I don't think anyone will have a better time or try harder to get good golf stories than we here at Chicago Tribune Media, and I am including our friend Teddy Greenstein, and
he was at the Masters.
Right.
He's our major championship correspondent, and we're hoping to have him on.
I'm including him in this, but yes, certainly no one will try harder to bring the best golf news and the most compelling golf stories than Chicago Tribune Media Group, and we have you can follow us on Twitter. Matt is at Harness Preps. That's PREPS, owing that to his day job, which is writing about high school sports, although his expertise is certainly on the golf course. And I am at John_Borneman, and the podcast is at teeing_off. Someone else already stole teeing_off. I can't imagine why, but that's teeing _OFF.
And just before we go, we want to make it at least a promise to do this more regularly.
We were I would say sporadic, and we should be able to do it at least as often as we play golf, which is nearly
Hopefully
once a week.
5 times a week.
Well, right. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do it at least that often. So yes, this year, and I think they're playing us out here at Full Shilling with a little rap music. So.
But we want you to listen to Greenpilot.
Right. Greenpilot's coming up next. This is the end of Teeing Off, episode number 1 of the season. For Matt Harness, this is John Borneman reminding you to mute Jim Nance whenever possible. Thanks, guys.
Knock down and drag it out, and these window panes, they're a prison cage. And I'm trying hard to recall the jump I saw at the outset. Oh, a big on a wave and a storm is coming. We need to be safe. God, please send us some.